Okay, lesson number 3. We are ready to begin. I'm going to be honest, guys. Not shocking to any of you. I'm incredibly stressed today and running very, very far behind. So I have no idea if I'm going to be very good or make any sense today. I did go to the trouble of trying to write it out again, so at least I got 5 pages of notes to try to follow. Hopefully I can recall them and do so. I know I need to spend some time on the basics. The problem is that I make the stupid mistake of assuming that you all have read the same books I have. I assume you've heard about learning to read body language. I assume you understand the differences of color schemes, how setting of a room can affect things, the way you're dressed, the way your mannerisms and all that. I make the mistake of assuming you have read the same books I've read, lived the same life I've lived. I want to mention a huge sales faux pas. And honestly, guys, if my notes follow, if I follow them at all, we are largely going to be running down a big rabbit hole here. One of the biggest and most common mistakes made, and that I make constantly, and that I'm even making in this, is assuming people, to use a phrase, have read the same books you have. Assuming that they have the same life experiences you have, assuming they have the same knowledge, is a massive mistake. Never ever assume the client has the same knowledge as you. If they did, why would they hire you to be a consultant? The crazy thing is, we live our lives as if they do. We live our lives as if we are teaching calculus to a student, and if we're teaching calculus, we assume they have had algebra and geometry. It makes sense. The problem is, with most of your clients and the people you're going to run into in life, you're teaching calculus to people that have never learned how to add and subtract. You need to assume that that is the case. Your problem is, it's a very rare client that will admit ignorance. I'm going to pause and go off notes here for a minute, so I hope I don't run too far. I remember, and I've never even wrapped my mind around this lesson to the point that I fully even get all the layers of what I learned, which I just set you up for a much bigger tale than this is. But I remember one of the most shocking days I ever had. Mid-20s, I got real involved with the singles group at Putnam City Baptist Church. Great group, great time. Really a fun year or two in life. We went out constantly. Every week we go out together once or twice a week and everything. And it was always fun. We'd go to little artsy-fartsy places for coffee, an artsy-fartsy place for a fancy Italian dinner or a glass of wine or whatever, and all this stuff. And it was always little money here, little money there. I was on the one with a house, so we'd do things over at my house, and I always just, bought the Cokes and the food and all that was part of entertaining and everything about it. But I'd watch these guys, pull out the credit card and pay and laugh and smile. Now, $40 meal, I didn't think anything on. I was making good money with incredibly low expenses. They all talked and acted as if they did the same. I assumed they did as well. At the time, I was running the finance department, and a few of these guys had come into me to help them get loans. The thing that blew me away was when I saw their credit and their income, how the frickin' name of Hades did these people even afford a cup of coffee, let alone a $45 plate of spaghetti? They were broke. They were making $1,800 a month, but they didn't want anybody to know. They couldn't not keep up with the Jones. They couldn't not play the face. They would go deeper and deeper and deeper in debt to continue to look like they made the same as me and the attorney and the young doctor and all the others running around. We were too young and stupid and ignorant to realize that they didn't make what we did. They implied they did. We just trust that implication and went on. People will not admit their ignorance. That's the poverty in your situation, is they don't want to admit what they don't know. And if they come in on the flip side of what's probably running through your head right now, and they have an unrealistic budget as what to build for, they don't want to admit that they're wrong as to why. So you have to handle them very politely, very sweetly, very lovingly, very educationally, and show them how it is. But you've got to build that. You've got the person that's positive they understand Algebra 2 that still doesn't know how to add and subtract. Without offending them or insulting them, you got to go back and teach them basics of math. I hope y'all get the metaphor. People want to fit in. They want to be your equal, if not your better. That is a truth. No one wants to be submissive to you. People want to be your equal usually. Some want to dominate you. You have to learn how to use that against them. Not without harsh, not blatant, brutal manipulation, although if that works for you, go ahead. But you've got to learn how to use that to build relationship. One of the main things is, what's the old coaches saying, check your ego at the door? Check your daggum ego at the door. Realize the winner at the end of the day is the one that wins. In all sincerity, women are often better, almost always better at this sales tactic than men. They don't tend to have alpha dog. Especially if they've ever had a husband for more than 2 years, they understand the value of winning the battle versus the war, or winning the war versus the battle. Sorry, that was a male slip for you, wasn't it? Enough on that. Find out what they do in a polite, sitting at the bar type of way. You want to win somebody to your side. You want them to be your friend. You want them to see you as an equal. Care about them. Learn about them. Be amazed at what they do. It allows them to be amazed at what you do without feeling like they lost the competition. Sit down with them in your office, guys. Hang out. Seriously, sincerely, you need to know. You need to know what they do. For example, some of you, especially those that like to sell project management, you know what? You need to know what their job is. If you don't like to sell project management and all you like to sell is straight, you build it, but she goes to work as a physical therapist under contract with a hospital an hour and a half away and goes to work at 7 a.m. and gets home at 7 p.m., she ain't managing this job. If he goes to work at 6 a.m. on the docks and gets out at 4, he may think he can manage it by getting there at 5:01, but you know he can't. So you know at some stage of this conversation, you're going to have to visit with these people and find out, is grandma and grandpa running this? Do you have an older son or daughter or one of the neighbors? Who's running this? Or we need to look at a project management job, you build it plus, whatever you want to call it, or a true GC. I don't care. You got to find the one that's going to fit them, but it helps to know that. On top of that, build that relationship. You want them to care about you. You want them to care about what you're selling. You dang sure better care about them and what they do. It's an equal relationship. It's kind of built on love. Let's be honest about it. Honor them and what they do by linking it to what you do, but with yours being a little bit less amazing than theirs. They want what you have. They wouldn't be sitting in your office if you didn't. You do not have to win the my job's more impressive than yours job. In all sincerity, you need to lose that. Gives them an upper hand in an area that does not matter, and it enables them to accept you as the professional. You have already honored them as being your superior in their field, thus they are willing to respect you in yours. When the heat and air guy comes to your house to fix your heat and air system, you don't try to tell him how to do it just because you know how to build a house. No, you trust the expert in his. If he walks in arrogant and starts acting like he knows everything about building houses and you're just some punk, you know what? You hire the next heat and air guy, even if the first one was better. Same applies to sales in every aspect. Another example, you have a surgeon in your office and just cut into your child's heart, repaired a hole that he or she could live. You have no problem showing him or her that level of respect. You don't. Apply that to everyone. That should be the true for an insurance adjuster who knows how to rate risk, an airplane mechanic, so on. Reality, it's honestly true. The little jobs may not be as dramatic, but you know they're every bit as important. Think about it. How well you getting around without the guy that puts the car together? How well do you get through the day without the person, I'm dead serious, that makes the friggin' burger at McDonald's? If there ain't somebody doing that, filling that needed role, you don't get your cheeseburger. I like my cheeseburger. It's okay to laugh, it's fun. Everyone is necessary, and everyone's job is interesting. And I think it's still in the background from last week, everyone's story is interesting. You want to tell yours, listen to theirs. Another note, people bond to you, and I mean seriously bond to you, if you intently listen to their story. That makes them trust you, and for someone selling consulting, that is huge. Think about it. You tell somebody your life story, you are bonded to them. Guys and gals, either foot. Every one of you spent that night where, for whatever reason, you were bored, you were sad, you were lonely, you had a second drink in your hand and you shouldn't have. I don't care your motivation, but you sat there and guys, you listen to some woman, you listen to some guy tell you their whole story. Now you might have been, I'm ready to do whatever I wanted to do in this thing and get out. That person's bonded to you. If you ever did that and led like in a movie to a one-night stand, you might be ready to roll. I guarantee you that person's carrying a torch for a long time. They gave something themselves to you. Listen to their story intently. You don't have to memorize it. Just listen to it. Back to the main point. Don't assume they know anything. Use the flip chart and use it to give you a guideline. Have one of every type of manual we own on a shelf next to you. That is very important, by the way, guys. Have on the shelf or in a file cabinet a copy of any form or budget you may refer to, and use the heck out of the flip chart. Not as the end all, but as a guide to bring you back after you run down a side trail. Side trails are the meat of your sales presentation. Anyone can get through the flip chart in 5 or 10 minutes. You don't want to make it everything. It is the backbone. It is the path. It is the big road to get through the woods. Remember the old trail less traveled, whatever you want to call it. Bringing up your charts, pulling those things out, hearing their stories so you know what they're interested in, being able to jump offline, reading their eyes and body language to know what they show the value in, letting them ask questions, enables you to go down the side trails. That's why you want to have all that other stuff at your fingertips so you can pull it out. If they bring a question on a budget, have an example, favorable example to you, of a budget of a similar type of job that at a moment's notice you can pull out. It gives proof. People trust things in print, as they should. It's one you obviously know enough about to converse on, or you wouldn't have it at your fingertips, and it makes you look good. Every now and then it makes you look good in the opposite direction. Sometimes you got to pull one out just because they're so unrealistic on cost. You got to raise them up a little bit. Okay? Always go back to the flip chart so you know where you were. Why? To make sure you don't skip a step, and to ensure that you don't assume that they know what you know, because again, trust me, they don't. Flip chart's not amazing. It's kind of boring. We all know that, guys. But it's a dang good tool. And it's a great way for you to run as far afield as you want, pause, and have something to come back to. Especially if you've really, truly exhausted a tangent. And again, and I say this to all of you, keep in mind, success, the percentage of presentations that lead to sales are directly relevant to time. The closer they are to 2 hours long, the higher your odds of signing. People that last over 2 hours are like, I'm going to make up a number, but I'm serious, like 95% sign a contract. Conversely, people in a presentation less than an hour, I don't even think 5% sign. I'm dead serious. If it is, it's because they were such a strong referral from someone or whatever that they walked in the door to sign. And those percentages go from that. From 1 to 2, it rises dramatically. Don't just do the side trail because it sells. Don't just do it because it matters. You need the time invested. I mean, you can manipulate this and destroy anything, guys. You want to do nothing but put in time and talking about recipes and go, I put in 2 hours, I got to sell. I mean, let's not be moronic. But it's good to put in the time and bond it. Your struggle is going to be that we all psychologically, going back to my flip chart, we all psychologically live as if everyone had our same experience, thus knowledge and point of view. That's why Republicans think Democrats are idiots. That's why Democrats think Republicans are idiots. Some of them are. on each side of the aisle. Granted, some people are just flat idiots. But on the whole, they think the way they do because of the life they lived, the training they received, the experiences that they have had. Same for your client as well. They do not think the same way you do. Chinese thought and writing is so freakishly uniquely different from Western. For that reason, understand that. You may just feel a side trail. I already went over that. I want to discuss with you briefly comfort level and the atmosphere you sell within. People will be reading you nonstop from the moment they first see you. Appearances do matter. Big question is, what is the correct appearance for maximum sales efficiency? Answer, the one that works for you. Every now and then you're going to get a little sloppy and a little lazy. Every now and then you're going to decide that that soul patch really works. All right? Every now and then you need somebody to assess you and hurt your feelings and tell you to shave the soul patch and clean up this or clean up that. Beware getting a little bit lazy. I know, I didn't mean anything personal. Because on some people it does work. On the whole, though, go with very clean, very professional dress that fits your personality. You must be comfortable to be truly confident. Also, falsehood reads, but I'll get to that in a minute. Your dress will show how you feel about yourself and them. Keep in mind they are looking to trust you to advise them. They must see you are comfortable and confident. For some of you, this quite honestly is khakis and a nice shirt, sensible shoes. For some, it's a suit. In our business, that's rare, but for some of you, it really, truly is. And you know what? There's one guy I'm thinking of, and those who've been franchisees for a while, he ran through your mind too. Dave Contorno. Dude made it work. And you want to know something? I saw him once in a t-shirt and shorts. It didn't work. It wasn't right. But the guy could wear a friggin' suit better than anyone I ever knew. And it was just fit him. And I guarantee it fit his sales and everything else as well. For some, it's jeans and a work shirt. Heck, for some, it's coveralls that are dirty and greasy from a hard day on the job. There really are a few of you out there that's true of. You throw on your coveralls, your hands are dirty and you're knocked up and you're okay. Now I'm about to knock that a little bit. One caveat, dirty labor can be an effective sales tool. Really, truly can. Coming in looking like you work for a living, people trust that because that's what they're hiring. Again, for everyone that likes the ultra clean HVAC guy fixing their deal, most of us trust the guy with grease under his fingernails first because he looks like he's done it before. So it's okay. But keep in mind, and this is the huge one, people are very conscious of their own space. They're very conscious of their own germs. They do not want you transferring your dirt onto them. Thus, coming in dirty can be extremely tricky because you need them to welcome you into their space, metaphorically, psychologically, or physiologically. And you know exactly what I'm talking about, especially, and forgive me if I'm cheating on you, when you are selling to women. And guys, it's freakishly rare in this industry you're selling just to men. Now, to say, oh, only sell the woman's the only one that matters, don't be a moron, all right? But to not say that they're over half is to be a bigger moron. So you better be able to. And you know what? We got a lot of metrosexual guys in the world today. A lot of folks went to school. A lot of your clients are college degrees, and they don't change their own oil. And even if they don't want to admit it, I'm as guilty as anyone ever, they have a sense of cleanliness as well that they don't really overtly want transferred onto themselves. So beware of that and be cautious. Have some wipes handy. Second you see them, act as if you just came in from the field. This is if you're coming in dirty. C, apologize up front for your state, but do it in a strong fashion. The implication being that you are sorry, not sorry for your work, but that you are not ready and clean enough for them. D, don't try to touch them. Let them see you dusting yourself off and reach for something to wipe your hands off to ensure they're clean. This shows that you are a working man or woman, but one who respects them and their space. F, reach out to shake their hand in a very strong and firm but not crushing grip. Do it with your arm fully extended and your body language seemingly backed away. In other words, you might normally want to shake someone's hand leaning in. You're trying to make a link. If you're dirty, you would want to do it with a little bit of lean back to show you're not trying to knock dust off onto them. You must smile. If you're dirty and not happy about your state, trust me, they won't be either. If you're coming in from the field, you better be free and happy about the fact you got mud on your boots. You better enjoy what you do. Otherwise, why would they want to work with somebody that doesn't like what they do? Again, think of the McDonald's person that you don't like. Throughout this conversation, you will get to lean back and keep a respectful distance. As with any other type, but especially here, speak confidently. You look like you know what you're doing. Now talk like you know what you're doing. You must have energy and be confident. Beware of sounding weak or as if you have doubt. This will show in your demeanor. Use only strong phrases. Laugh a lot. A lot. First, it makes you happy. It really does. Seriously, try it. You cannot be unhappy when you're smiling, head back, and laughing. Well, there's old psychological tricks and force yourself to do that to remove depression. You know what? They work. They might only work for the 30 seconds you're doing it, but for those 30 seconds, they're true. Be joyful. This should be easy. You have the greatest job in the world. You are about to allow someone to have an amazing building experience. They will build their dream home for less money in a higher quality fashion with so much more fun and knowledge of the process than any other fashion known to man. Seriously, think about it, guys. You got the best job in the world. You're blessing clients. You're about to bless their lives like no one ever has before. I guess there's a rare exception of the person that had the distant relative that they didn't know that left them a ton of money. But in a really cool movie where you find out you're actually the Princess of Moldova, that doesn't really tend to happen. So, on most people's cases, you're the biggest blessing they're ever going to have. They will never have a job that pays them a bonus equal to what you are going to leave them. This is cool. This is fun. You should be happy and you should be filled with love, and so should they. And you know something else? When you get the person that's a jerk and is beating you up, and you know what? I'm going to lay claim to this. I have had a week from hell. You need to stop and remember that every now and then. I need to not worry about the 4 people that are irritated and busting my chops. I need to remember the literally 67 that love us, who I provided for their retirement, who I've helped them pay for their kids' college, who know what they've got, who call the banker when it's all done and say, I thought this was going to be cool. I had no idea how cool it was. And I had that meeting yesterday as well. This is phenomenal. One last little note on that end, and then I'm going to stop for today. 2 things to truly bond a person to you in sales, in addition to a million others. And this is life in every aspect. 1, food. You better have snacks in the office. You better offer them a drink when they come in. It's an old hearth thing from the Middle Ages. If somebody eats in your home, they are tied to you. If they eat your food, drink your drink, they've taken, and there's a lot of different aspects of that. One is psychologically, they feel guilty like they got to pay you back. One is there's a hominess. One is they are partaking of something to continue their sustenance from you. Whatever it is, it's just true. More powerful one, going back to where we were ending and why I want to close with it, is laughter. If you can get them to laugh, you own them. One of the first guys I ever knew taught me to sell told me, get them to laugh once and it's done. Now, it might have been a minor overstatement. It wasn't really in what we sold at the time, but it ain't much. There's a lot of truth to it. People find joy in what you're saying. It just, everything. Body language relaxes. Relationship relaxes. The bond is formed. Phenomenal. Just absolutely phenomenal. Okay, we covered a lot of ground today. I hope it wasn't too much. I will try to stick with a few basics as well. Appreciate all y'all coming. Those of y'all that are actually still watching, thank you.